The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap is an excellent entry in the beloved franchise. Lately, we've been examining the Nintendo 64 Zeldas through the eyes of a first-time player, but before we hit the high seas on the GameCube, I wanted to return to Zelda's top-down roots on the GameBoy Advance. My girlfriend Ellie has never touched the Minish Cap until now. In this video, I'll be chronicling her journey through the game as we view it through the eyes of a newcomer.
Okay, so now this was released after the game that we're gonna play next, the next big console Zelda game, but I wanted, before we get there, to take a little aside, a little detour, and go back to this different style of Zelda.
Initially, I wasn't that excited about going back to 2D just because I struggled so much with them. I was a little wary of it at first because those have been the hardest games for me, historically. So I was nervous it was about to switch back to really hard again.
The game begins with a little backstory on some stained glass. What better way to set the mood? Our journey kicks off with Zelda coming to visit an oversleeping Link in his cozy home with his blacksmith caretaker, I guess. Link is awoken and beckoned by Zelda to join her for the annual Pickery Festival.
It's time for me to go with my girlfriend.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Are they not dating?
They're just friends. They're just buddies.
I think they're dating.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like...
Always gotta check the grass. See, now, isn't it interesting that because of your history now, one of your instincts is to just pick this up? You know, Link to the Past, you didn't know you could do that for a while, but here, boom, first thing you try.
Isn't this interesting? If we flash back to Ellie trying A Link to the Past, she wandered around for quite a while before she realized that she needed to pick up this grass to progress. With that knowledge banked, she immediately tried to do it here, and she could. Soon enough, we arrived at the festival. Everybody's feeling the happy vibes, particularly Zelda, who can't focus on one attraction for very long before darting off towards something else.
She is a little ADHD, I must say, and that's okay.
After winning a game, Zelda claims a shield as her reward and immediately gives it to us. I sense another sharp tool in our future. Beyond the festival, we encountered another perfect example of Ellie's developing skill set. This Deku scrub was blocking our path, so we needed to figure out how to get it out of the way. While playing Ocarina of Time, Ellie learned that their projectiles could be reflected using a shield, and wouldn't you know it, it works here too. Now, I can't imagine it would have taken her more than a couple of minutes to figure this out without having played that game already, but still, it's really cool to see her growing Zelda literacy.
We barely spent time together there. What do you mean you have to go? Lame date? Lame date.
After arriving at the castle, we met the king, and Vati, who had arrived to claim the legendary Pickery Blade. As you likely already know, he's a bad dude. He breaks the sword and opens the box, releasing a bunch of evil-looking spirits into the world. That weren't bad enough, he straight up turns Zelda to stone. Damn, that's pretty harsh. Vati flees and Link wakes up in another bed, this time in Hyrule Castle. The king asks Link to search for the Pickery, the ancient species of tiny beings that can only be viewed by children for some reason. We get a trusty sword, there we go, and set off to begin our adventure. Our current goal is getting to Minish Woods. As Ellie began exploring the overworld, I was struck by just how quickly she was moving through it. There were plenty of enemies around, but she was running past most of them without issue. Compared to overworld traversal of the original game, or even A Link to the Past to a lesser extent, the Minish Cap really seems to ease the player in. Ellie made it into the Minish Woods, where she discovered that Link once again can't swim. Thankfully, drowning doesn't cost him any health. She started noticing some pathways that appeared to be really tiny.
Really, no items. Huh. Where is that happening? How do I help that person? Was that like random, or that I'm close to them that I heard it? I can't figure that out, like if that was timed or location based. Oh, okay.
Ellie moved her way up to this green bird-looking fellow, who turns out to be Eslo. This sassy fellow decides to join us on our journey, but seeing as he doesn't have any legs, decides to situate himself on top of our head. He'll serve as our companion and provide information if we need it, albeit with a hint of snark.
Ooh. Did I fall in? I fell in! Oh, I'm so tiny.
You were very small, very petite.
That's right, we were Tiny Link. Eslo possesses the power to shrink us down to minuscule size. This is a primary mechanic of Minish Cap and will carry huge ramifications throughout the game.
I like the shrinking down too. I think that's fun to switch between big and small and get access to a different area when you're small. Kind of like with Majora's Mask when you get to put the Deku Scrub mask on and become him, and then you get access to a whole other area of the environment just because you've been able to transform your form. I feel like this kind of functions in a similar way that I like, where it takes an area and gives me way more to do with it.
Now that she was tiny, Ellie was able to visit Minish Village. They seemed pretty friendly, but there was one problem. We had no idea what they were saying.
Pico Ricky Poco Tipo.
Oh, I like that. Do it again right now.
Pico Ricky Poco Tipo.
After some exploration, Ellie learned that she could communicate with the Minish if she would eat a jabbernut. Okay, well now we just need to find one.
How do I grab it? Can I not?
Doesn't appear that you can.
So what did pushing it do?
Appears to have blocked the path.
Can I just say, I did not think you could push it from the sides, so I just decided to randomly try it because I thought that didn't work.
Good thought.
With Nut consumed, we could now chat with everyone. The village elder told us about 4 mystical elements that we'd need in order to repair the Pickery Blade. He marked them on our map and then instructed us to retrieve the earth element first, located just north of the village. Just like that, we'd arrived in our first dungeon. Ellie was no stranger to them at this point, but this was her first top-down dungeon since A Link to the Past. Per usual, Link slowly proceeds through the dungeon by defeating enemies, solving puzzles, and acquiring small keys. Ellie found this mushroom but couldn't figure out what to do with it. She had just learned how to grab this lever, so maybe the two tasks were related.
That looks crazy. That looks so crazy. That didn't even do anything. Okay. Okay. Ah! I can't find the sweet spot. What is it? Okay, you guys hold down R the whole time.
There you go.
Letting go.
We discovered this barrel surrounded by some mushroom enemies that seemed to be impervious to our sword. She lit these nearby vines on fire that seemed to release the barrel. Eventually, Ellie realized that she could exit the barrel through this other side. Link burned down some more vines on the other side, which freed the barrel completely. Now we could spin it around by running inside of it, leading to new paths to other parts of the dungeon. Here in this room, Ellie needed to push this button down to activate this bridge, but the button required continuous weight, otherwise the bridge would disappear. The only other object in this room is a pot, but pots are always thrown. So what are we supposed to do here? Ellie kept trying to throw the pot onto the button, but that didn't seem to be working.
You know the solution, or well maybe you don't, but the solution is in the room. You know you have the solution in the room. So look around the room here, and what do you notice?
This is shaped exactly the same, so this should go right here. Oh. See, you've never been able to push those before.
Yeah, that's why that tripped me up too.
So that's so confusing.
This is a really interesting puzzle. I've been speaking about how Ellie's Zelda knowledge has been helping to expedite her progress, but here, it actually sabotaged her. For multiple games now, Ellie's been conditioned to pick up and throw pots. They've got all sorts of goodies in them, so why wouldn't you? Here though, Minish Cap completely changes the function of this long-standing item. For the first time, you can now push the pot. The room hints at this with these markings on the ground, but even with this nudge, your brain is stuck in a box. It took Ellie some time to break out of it, just as it did for me when I did this puzzle.
Ooh. Rest in peace, Link. Rest in peace.
He's not dead.
Oh.
He always comes back.
Our first death had occurred, but just like previous games, any dungeon progress made is retained. After some more exploration, Ellie found our first mini-boss. This guy snakes around the room, waiting for a big hit to the face. After that, his back becomes his weak point, but if it's not attacked quickly enough, you'll have to wait him out while he turns red and increases speed. Unsurprisingly, he's really not very hard. Ellie took him down with no problem and received the
Gust jar? Okay.
This is a super cool item. It enables Link to suck up whatever's in front of him like a vacuum and then shoot back out a big gust of air. It carries both puzzle and combat possibilities and is a refreshing change from standard Zelda items. Ellie was probably expecting a bow, bomb, or boomerang, but Minish Cap is keeping us on our toes.
I like the item because there's so many things you can do with the gust blower. I just think how versatile it was and how I used it. I like how it works in such diverse scenarios and environments.
What's interesting is that as she was retreading the dungeon with the gust jar, she wasn't using it. This is a persistent observation I've made while watching Ellie play. She's not always inclined to use the new item she's just acquired. As soon as I got this thing, I was sucking this, I was sucking that. I discovered that these mushrooms could now be defeated, and I also could now clear out this debris that they were leaving on the ground. Since Ellie wasn't experimenting with it though, she didn't learn this. It was here that we were introduced to another new mechanic floating around on this lily pad. Using the gust jar propels Link on the water, but the controls can take a bit of getting used to. Ellie was finding herself often traveling in the wrong direction, but the more she was practicing, the more she was getting it down. Eventually, we found ourselves in a room with a bunch of mushrooms.
There we go. Whoa. Where might a big door be?
With the big key in tow, Ellie teleported back to the beginning of the dungeon. She could now access this upper floor thanks to the gust jar. This mushroom flung her right to the boss door.
Ooh.
Alright, time for our first proper boss. This is actually just a normal enemy, but since we're currently in tiny form, he's a lot more imposing. Ellie immediately tried to attack, which didn't work, so she started using the gust jar, which seemed to be more effective. Very quickly, she had the cycle down. Suck away the base of the enemy enough so that he falls over, and then go in for the attack.
Okay, maybe I'm not supposed to hit him. He's not really functioning like bosses I'm used to. That's definitely hurting him though.
The issue was that Ellie wasn't getting close enough to actually hit him when he was vulnerable, so she wasn't doing any damage. She was getting pretty low on health by this point, so if she didn't make the discovery soon, she was gonna have to start over.
He hurts me when he does that. I was supposed to be hitting him. He is really jumping now. On that low of life?
Very low life.
Oh, I am crazy good. I'm ridiculously good.
She's got the skills.
I'm ridiculously good.
That was very good.
First try.
First try.
On basically no health left. Earth element.
Ellie snagged the heart container and headed back to the village elder. Once we showed him the earth element, he instructed us to head up toward the mountains and revealed another exit out of the village. This path led us inside another Minish home where we received the bomb bag. Wow. It's interesting to receive such an important item outside of a dungeon, but I guess that's how it worked in the old days. Ellie took them happily, started blowing things up, and headed north. Before she could get too close to the mountains, Ellie found herself stuck in town.
Hello, children. Yeah, I knew that already, dummy. Just kidding, he seems like a sweet man. This looks like Grimace.
There was a guard blocking our way who refused to move until we learned some kind of new sword skill. We eventually found a dojo of sorts where Ellie learned the classic spinning sword slash. I'm not really sure why this guy cares about our capacity to spin a sword around, but hey, he let us go now, so who cares? Link emerged into the Trilby Highlands and subsequently at Mount Crenel's base. Ellie was instructed to go back down to the highlands to get some sort of item that would assist us further. After a bit of searching, we found another Deku scrub who sold us an empty bottle. What's a Zelda game without an empty bottle? After this, we headed back to the mountain base. How could this new item potentially help us out?
I don't know how to make that grow. Well, that didn't work. Can't water it to make it grow.
Why not?
I just tried. It didn't work.
Don't give up so quickly.
Why didn't the water work on the left?
It's just a puddle, I guess.
See, I knew that from Majora's Mask.
She made it through the puzzle, but one potential issue I was beginning to notice was that the reduced graphical fidelity of a Game Boy Advance game can make what should be obvious a little more confusing. The source of water for a bottle would be obvious in a polygonal 3D game, but here it's just not as clear. There were a lot of instances like this back in the retro days, and I was curious to see if any more of them would manifest here.
Oh.
Damn.
Ah.
Why do you continue to do that?
Ah.
Oh my god.
I'm not trying to. The analog stick's funky.
That was
I was
crazy.
trying to get out of there. I got stuck. It was like being really weird. Ah! See, some of them you can walk through, some you can't.
I can assure you, you can't walk through
I just
any of
walked
them.
through some of
No,
them.
you didn't. Show me which ones you walked through.
I'm not going back there. Oh, these aren't things I can walk on. They're spikes.
What are you talking about?
The things on the ground.
Did you not realize that those gray tiles are what are hurting you?
Nope, I thought it was the trees.
Oh.
I thought that was the trees the whole time.
As she climbed, Ellie was presented with more combat challenges, including these guys who needed to have their protective masks pulled off with the Gust Jar. It's cool to see Minish Cap incorporate items from the dungeons into combat like this.
No hearts.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by how stingy this game is with hearts.
These tornadoes enabled Link to float with Eslo, allowing us to fly further up on the mountain. Once we got to this upper level, we hit our first real dead end in Minish Cap, figuratively and literally. There seemed to be some kind of seed that needed to be planted into this nearby hole, but Link wasn't able to reach it in our current form. Ellie began to invoke the classic gaming tactic of searching around every pixel of the current space to see if any of them held any secrets. So far, no dice. Eventually she found a doorway she could bomb, but it just led us to a fairy fountain. Nice to have, but we were still stuck.
Like, should I bomb here?
I mean, worth a try, if that sign right there refers to blasting. Ooh.
Okay, some progress. That's what we like to see. This path led us to a shrink spot that enabled us to walk up to this pool of green water. Since she'd recently received the bottle, Ellie used it to pick up some mountain mineral water. This seemed like it might help grow that seed we found earlier, but the problem remained that we weren't able to actually reach the seed. Progress had been made, but still, we were stuck.
I hate when you think you figured something out. I think that's what kills me the most about these games. So I will have thought I had something figured out and feel really good, and then my hopes and dreams are crushed. I found the mountain area, climbing the mountain, the base of the mountain, all of it really convoluted and complicated, and things didn't feel very straightforward. Felt like I would go into rooms and find something that wasn't helpful to me yet, or get to an area that felt like the natural thing to happen next, but I couldn't do it yet, and it just felt really hard and overwhelmed me.
It turns out that the Gust Jar is able to suck up these spiny web things to reveal some important elements. Ellie cleaned up this area and found another shrink spot. Now we could explore all of these little areas intended for Tiny Link. Ellie found a kinstone piece, a mechanic she wasn't all that compelled by, discovered a Minish down underground, and eventually managed to walk over to the seed through this tiny little path. Link displayed a massive amount of strength by carrying the seed over to this hole, which he was able to water once we grew him up again. Ellie climbed up the vine and made it to Mount Crenal proper. We still weren't at the top of this thing, but we were getting closer.
I've had a glass of wine. I'm ready to play.
Okay.
Ellie kept plugging away at the mountain. Or is it a dungeon?
This ain't even a dungeon map. I'm not in a dungeon?
Mm-mm.
What? This is terrible news.
You thought you were in a dungeon?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
This whole time you thought you were in a dungeon?
Yes.
Definitely not a dungeon, although it would be hard to blame someone for thinking that it was. The overworld in a Zelda game can sometimes feel simply like a means to reach the next dungeon, but in Minish Cap, these areas are chock full of their own puzzles and challenges. Ellie found another Deku scrub who sold her the grip ring. Now she could climb on these surfaces like a little rock climber.
Climb, Link, climb.
Get up there, Link.
Oh
Whoa.
my god.
It's a lot of wall.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Once we ascended the wall, it felt like we must be getting closer to the top. We could see just how far the ground was below us, and it even started to rain. You know you're close to the top of a mountain when it starts to rain. This section involved some boulder rolling puzzles. It took a little time to figure out, but Ellie got it eventually. The ladder led us down to some block pushing puzzles, a Zelda staple. Further on, we ran into an issue that seemed impassable. This gap here was too big to cross. There was a button on the other side, but we didn't have any way to reach it, and throwing a pot over there wasn't doing anything.
Now, are you certain you cannot toss bombs? And when you tried to pick that up, it wouldn't let you toss it?
I've never tried to pick them up. Whoa. I would have never, ever thought to do that.
After traveling up a little further, we shrunk down and arrived in Malari's mines. We met with the master smith, who offered to repair the Pickery blade, but they'd need some time to get it done. Just enough time, in fact, for us to explore the Cave of Flames, our next dungeon. Unsurprisingly, this one is really hot and features some mechanics that you'd expect to see on the top of a mountain. Early on, Ellie was encouraged to flip these spiny turtles over before attempting to attack them. Keep that mechanic in mind.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that was fun. It appeared minecart riding would be a central tenet of this place. Ellie continued forward and discovered a shrink spot. It's interesting to see this, as the first dungeon found us in tiny form throughout its entirety, while the Cave of Flames finds you switching. We grew back up to get the dungeon map and then pushed into some of this dungeon's hotter segments. Eventually, we arrived at a treasure chest that was on a stone of some sort, preventing Link from opening it. Unsure what to do, Ellie skipped it and ended up back at an earlier part of the dungeon. With nothing else to do, it seemed like maybe that chest was more important than initially assumed.
Let's just get this right in there. Get that right in there.
Tickled. Ooh, thank you.
I encouraged Ellie to retrace her steps until she got back to the treasure chest.
Okay, so we have this chest on this round stone of some kind.
Can I bomb it?
Okay, worth a try. So there's a level issue here. How might you go about getting that chest on the same level as you?
Pushing it down the ladder?
Well, that wouldn't really change its level relative to you.
Putting it in that hole?
Okay.
Oh. I wouldn't have done that either. Yay! 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 Yay!
Okay, now we had a key, and better yet, we knew where to put it. Ellie was now able to change the track layout so that the minecart would send us somewhere else. It flung us deeper into the dungeon, where Link progressed smoothly until we arrived at another mini-boss, which is really just a bunch of these spiky dudes. Ellie defeated them with no problem and got the Cane of Packy as a reward. This is another really cool item that not only allows Link to flip elements of the world around him, but also launch out of holes in the ground. I really love how unique the items in Minish Cap are. I don't recall something quite like this in any other entry in the series. Link and his newfound cane solved puzzles and defeated enemies like nobody's business.
Sometimes I feel so accomplished that I figured something out and I'm like, wow, I'm so smart. And then I'm like, I bet some people watching me think I'm so dumb that took so long. And then I get sad. Just thought I'd point that out for anyone that wants to say something mean. You can't be meaner to me than I've already been to myself.
A bit further on, Ellie found a teleportation spot that would enable quick travel between this room and the beginning of the dungeon. It's a great find, as this room is a doozy. As you can see, it's got a lot of lava, as well as these moving tiles. You can use them to move around the room, but of course, they only stay up for so long before they break apart. Even more stressful is that some of these tiles need to be flipped by the cane before they can be stepped on. As you might expect, it's a recipe for frustration.
I hate timing. This is my least favorite shit ever. At least I got a portal.
Slowly but surely, she progressed through the rooms until she ended up back in the big lava room on the upper floor. Now, she could use the various tornadoes to float above the lava, all the way to the center of the room. It was quite a journey, but we were rewarded handsomely with the big key. Now we could get into the boss door, which was conveniently close by. Let's see who we're up against this time.
Oh my.
Do you think I throw bombs in its mouth or something?
Hello, sir.
I feel like I'm supposed to use this if it's the item I got, right?
Okay.
think I'm doing anything though with that, am I? God, the way he runs when he's on fire is so annoying. I gotta stop cussing. It's not a pretty habit.
Okay, not a bad first attempt. The cane flipped that shell on the boss's back, named Gleerock, which opened it up to be attacked. The catch is its neck blocks the cane, so Link has to run around to get behind it before firing. It's easier said than done and only gets harder as the fight goes on, as Gleerock continues to shoot fire around the battlefield. Ellie was experiencing some sensory overload. If you start to take damage, it's really easy to lose a lot of health very quickly.
None of this is skill anymore. That's what I don't like about fights like that.
What do you mean?
That was dumb luck that I somehow hit him the first time. Clearly, because twice in a row I've only done it once. I don't know what I'm doing.
Describe to me what happened.
The thing on his back flipped, but I've tried getting him from behind and it doesn't work.
Well, what do you think made it flip?
Whatever thing I was doing, my cane thing. Like, I understand that mechanic,
well, okay,
but
so
I
you
can't,
understand what to do.
Yeah, I just can't get it to do it again. And I don't understand how I get it to do it that first time. But I just get overwhelmed when I can't go anywhere and it's hurting me just to interact with elements around the boss. Like in Majora's Mask, I didn't like all those flying insecty bugs on me that were preventing me from just getting away from the boss and figuring stuff out, and I hated having to deal with the fire in this game. The getting hit with a fireball and then running incredibly fast threw me off every time. So I think the small environment in which I had to escape or get my bearings and just figure out how to attack this boss made it overwhelming, especially as it progressed. It felt like the surface area I had to work with was diminishing so much, and that felt stressful. See this? She moves real quick. When she's in a great position, it won't let me do it. Which I guess is like, well, yes, that's a video game, but I'm annoyed by it. Ugh. If I knew how to turn the right direction, I'd be unstoppable.
Well done. Well done.
Turns out if I just talk out loud and give like a really cool monologue, I do well.
Ellie kept plugging away until she got it in only a few attempts. She headed back to the Master Smith who had repaired our blade. We headed back down towards Hyrule Castle as Ellie reflected on her journey.
At first, I was a little weary and concerned that I wouldn't like it or do well with it, and I actually liked this one the best of all the 2D styles. The overworld area wasn't that hard, like the enemies were not breaking me down, just trying to get through a certain patch of a field or through the woods or something. I found them to be much more manageable. I don't know, it wasn't as clunky as old ones. Maybe playing the other ones and the 3D ones made me better, but I think if I had started with this one, I maybe wouldn't have appreciated how much easier the enemies or bosses felt if I hadn't done the other ones first. I think that set expectations, but then gave me some relief with this game in a way that I wouldn't have had without them.
It was really refreshing to take a dive back into top-down Zelda and see how the design has progressed since A Link to the Past. The Minish Cap presents a much smoother difficulty curve that made it a much more approachable adventure. There were certainly still moments of frustration or confusion, but ultimately, the Minish Cap proved to be a top-notch detour before we set sail on Link's next epic adventure. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe or check out another episode? And if you really enjoyed this episode, you can become a patron or channel member to help us make more. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.